After completing a project, what grade would you be satisfied with? And how would you feel if you did not achieve your grade of satisfaction?
Lowest 80. I try to aim for all A's on all of my assignments.
I would be satisfied with an A. And if I didn't achieve that, I'd probably feel pretty bad about myself.
If I did not achieve the grade of satisfaction, I'd probably be a little upset, disappointed in myself.
If you put all your effort into studying for a test and failed it, how would that make you feel?
Really horrible, because it meant all that time and effort you put in was for nothing.
I'd probably start crying. I'd feel like I was too dumb because I put so much effort into
It
it.
would make me feel like I'm not smart.
Are you scared of failure? Why are you scared?
Definitely scared of failure because
I feel a lot of pressure on me from my family to pass and succeed, so
I am scared of failure, especially being in fourth year. I don't want to jeopardize my chances to go off to grad school or other.
not only will I let down myself, I'll let down my family.
Many individuals are unaware of what the term perfectionist means. A study by Randio Frost et al. In 1990 defined it by multiple factors but mainly entails excessive concern over making mistakes, high personal standards, the perception of high parental expectations, the perception of high parental criticism, the doubting of the quality of one's actions, and a preference for order and organization. This definition has many components to it, but it does a good job at tying all the different aspects of what a perfectionist might go through. Perfectionism has 3 types of subcategories. The first is self-oriented. When directed toward the self, individuals attach irrational importance to being perfect, hold unrealistic expectations of themselves, and are punitive in their self-evaluations. The second is self-prescribed. When perceived to come from others, individuals believe their social context is excessively demanding, that others judge them harshly, and that they must display perfection to secure approval. The third is other-oriented. When perfectionist expectations are directed towards others, individuals impose unrealistic standards on those around them and evaluate others critically. A paper by Curran et al., published in 2017, focused on whether cultural changes are associated with increase in multidimensional perfectionism in college students over the last 27 years. They surveyed 41,641 American, Canadian, and British college students who completed the multidimensional perfectionism scale. Between 1989 and 2016, the self-oriented perfectionism score increased by 10%. Socially prescribed increased by 33%, and other-oriented increased by 16%. Overall, the findings indicate that recent generations of young people perceive that others are more demanding of them, are more demanding of others, and are more demanding of themselves. The population has a large spectrum between normal and neurotic perfectionists. Normal perfectionists set realistic standards, derive pleasure from their effort, and are capable of being less precise in certain situations. Neurotic perfectionists demand an unattainable level of performance, experience their efforts as unsatisfactory, and are unable to relax their standards. The main difference between the two is that neurotic perfectionists are overly concerned for making mistakes, which lead to a strong fear of failure rather than a need for achievement. The next aspect that we are going to talk about are some treatment options that are available when your mental health starts to become a problem. The first treatment intervention is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT is a psychosocial treatment option that aims to change distorted thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, and behavior. It is reported to be an effective treatment option for patients that have depression and even anxiety due to their nature of being a neurotic perfectionist. The second treatment option available is the use of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that transmits signals between brain cells and helps in elevating the mood and emotions of a person. SSRIs block the reuptake of serotonin in the brain and thus increasing the availability of serotonin in the brain. Typically, SSRIs are used to treat depression and anxiety and can help individuals that suffer from these mental illnesses due to their neurotic perfectionist tendencies. Do you think after answering these questions, you are now more self-aware about where you lie on the spectrum of perfectionism?
I would be a little off normal, more towards neurotic sometimes, just because I let those expectations for myself kind of stress me out.
So I think I'm definitely closer to like neurotic.
I'd say I'm right around the middle, depending on the task. Usually for school, depending on the course, it doesn't affect me too much, but when it's in real world work situations, I tend to get pretty stressed and pretty anxious.
I think on the scale I'm closer to neurotic because when I don't meet my standards, it really starts to stress me out and makes me feel anxious.